Hi, I'm Rosalie Kareem. I am a transformational somatic trauma healing coach. And this is one in a series of videos called Understanding Developmental Trauma and Healing. My passion and vision is that everyone who has a history of developmental trauma will have free and abundant access to information and resources that really help, so that you feel seen and understood, so that you understand and appreciate yourself better, realizing where you've come from and where you are and how much you have done, and so that you have a variety of options for ways that you can support and accelerate your own healing journey, regardless of whether or not you are also working with a trauma healing facilitator or group. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you find this information helpful and useful, and thank you for being you. I want to talk about safety. What is safety? What does it mean? What does it mean for our healing or recovery from developmental trauma? So, we could say that safety is the lack of any immediate known threat or risk. Or we could say that safety is when my body feels like there isn't any immediate threat or risk. So here's the thing about safety. When I feel safe, then it becomes possible for me to begin to do some of this sort of inquiry and experience inside myself that's required and involved in sort of the unraveling and the really developing better relationships with my needs, right? As I talked about in a previous discussion, developmental trauma interrupts our experience with our basic needs and gets in the way of that, our needs and our aliveness. So the work of recovery involves learning a new relationship with my needs and with my feelings and with my body and with myself. And when I feel unsafe, doing that work is difficult or even impossible. So safety is really important. And those very things that I want to address, my relationship with my needs and my feelings, and even with relating itself. How all those things are constructed in my body as a result of my developmental trauma, all of that actually impedes my ability to feel safe. So we have to feel safe in order to do the work of healing, and we have to do the work of healing in order to feel safe, right? So it's kind of a bit of a bind there. So again, what is safety? There's a sort of theory about the nervous system called polyvagal theory that says that there are sort of three branches of the autonomic nervous system. There's the sympathetic branch, which is about fighting and fleeing if there's risk, and it's about getting stuff done if there's no risk. It's like the active, let me do stuff branch of the nervous system. And then there's what they call the dorsal vagal, which is the freeze or sleep, hibernate. It's like the boom, let me shut down, nothing happening here branch, right? And then there's a third branch, the ventral vagal branch of the autonomic nervous system, which is part of a larger thing in our bodies called the social engagement system. So there's this social engagement system, which is like a whole bunch of our muscles, like facial muscles, like hi, right? There's so much we can convey in our face and the way that we hear and can listen for a particular person's voice in a crowd. So, the autonomic nervous system. There's the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, or let's do stuff. There's the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. And the theory says, polyvagal theory says that has two branches. The dorsal vagal, which is shut down and freeze. And the ventral vagal, which is part of this larger social engagement system, which I want to call relax and relate. So it's not just this ventral vagal portion of the nervous system, it's also a bunch of muscles and maybe some other things in there too. But there's this whole complex of things that happens in our bodies as we relate to the humans and mammals and other things around us. And it seems like there's a pretty direct correlation between the engagement of this social engagement system, relax and relate, the relax and relate system. Hey, good to see you. Oh, like when I see you, when I meet your eyes, there's this sort of relaxation that happens, this delight and relief of this human connection that feels safe. Relate and relax. So, I'm going to say that the experience of safety involves two pieces. There are two really important pieces to it. One is this social engagement system. More of this experience of safe engagement with my environment increases my sense of safety. It increases my feeling that I'm okay. And the other element is the experience of threat. Actual, discernible, visible threats and risks that are present, as well as the subjective feeling as if there's some threat present that many of us, and probably most of you who are watching this, most of my audience, we're people who've been walking around with a sense of threat constantly lodged in our bodies throughout many years of our life. Right? So we want to reduce actual threats, and we want to reduce the subjective feeling as if I'm under threat. And we want to increase this availability and this experience of relax and relate, of engagement with the humans around me, with the mammals around me, with the stuff around me. I've got mobiles hanging from the ceiling in my office, and I just love watching them. And it's like, hey, mobiles, how are you guys doing today, right? Like this sense, this relational experience can be had without necessarily having another human or mammal or even animal to interact with. But we got to learn what it feels like, and it's supposed to be, we're supposed to learn, right? I'm supposed to learn what this social engagement, this relax and relate experience feels like. I'm supposed to get that hardwired into my body, my hardware and my software, when I'm an infant and a little child and I'm relating to my caregivers. Right? So if we didn't learn that or didn't learn that very well at that time, then we need to learn now. What's it feel like to be engaged in this sweet, gentle way? It has a huge effect on our bodies. So in our trauma recovery, for those of us who have this constant sense of subjective threat, feels like threat, something I gotta do, watch out, the path to turning that down, to turning down like the baseline volume of that in ourselves involves, actively seeking to find this relax and relate experience. And that's why when we can find people, individuals or groups of people who are able to really see us safely and clearly, people where I show up and they say, oh, I'm so glad you're here, and oh, I see you're feeling this and this, and oh, here's the awesomeness about you that I can notice. In response to that being received and seen and held with kindness and respect, then my body is able to shift, maybe even just a little bit, into this relax and relate mode. So what does our healing look like? Number one, just kind of scan your mind and your life to identify people who actually do feel quite safe for you. And if those people are in your life, I consider engaging with them more than you already do. And when you are having an interaction with one of these people in your life who feels relatively safe, I invite and encourage you to notice any flavor of safety, to notice any sort of current, anything that's happening in your energy and your awareness in your body that's a symptom of feeling good or a symptom of feeling safe. Like noticing that and making it bigger, paying attention to it. Because we have to actually train our bodies to teach them what this is supposed to feel like. And then we have to gently coax our bodies to try on more of that and less of the hypervigilance and fear. So when you're interacting with people who feel safe, notice what that's like. And encourage it. Make a big pause. Even ask them to pause. Wait a minute. Can you pause for a second? I just want to savor how sweet it is just to be hanging out with you right now. Right? And even when you're not with that person or those kinds of people in your life, you can take moments and you can think about, remember, feel into what it's like to be with a person like that. And if you don't have these awesomely beautiful, safe people in your life, I invite you to make them up. So I believe that we all have access to a larger universal community of everyone and everything. And I believe that within that larger current, there is the current of beautiful, awesome, divine, loving, compassionate mother and father each. And that we actually know the current, the feeling of divine mother and divine father. We need to somehow work out how to turn the dial and find that channel. So I'm not saying this is simple, easy, or quick, but I'm inviting you to try it. If you don't have other access to this kind of energy, I'm inviting you to, inside yourself, sort of to see if you can sort of imagine, feel into, what does, an awesome, loving, divine, compassionate, wonderful mother feel like? Imagine and feel it as best you can, and just hang out with that in your body and in your energy. And I invite you also, think of public figures, movies, historical people, with your imagination. Or you can watch videos of healers. There are some healers and teachers who have a presence that I find just really, really soothing and supportive. Like when they talk about being human with this gentleness and compassion, that helps me to be seen and settled. So you can also find resources where you can sort of relate to people even though they're not relating to you because they're on video or audio. So I guess my thesis here is that as humans, we know how to relate how to have this relax and relate experience, and we know how to feel seen, loved, and accepted. And if we don't have direct experiences of that in our lives, it can be a bit tricky and difficult to cultivate that experience in our bodies. And yet cultivating that experience of being loved, respected, accepted is totally what we need to do. Cultivating the experience of relax and relate is totally what we need to do. And it's not going to happen automatically. Even if we have awesome community around us, we still have to do our personal work of nurturing that experience within us. So I encourage you, as part of your self-practice regimen, to include some practices that involve sort of attending to whatever quality of this relax and relate, and whatever quality of this I'm being seen and respected here, and so I can relax and relate, right? Whatever quality of that you can find and make contact with, and then to hang out there, to rest there, to soak in that, and cultivate it, allowing it to grow bigger inside of the field of your sort of emotional and nervous system experience. So that's my story on safety. And thank you for hanging out with me here, and have a great, great day.